Picture this: an ancient civilization so powerful, so advanced, they built palaces with indoor plumbing, while the rest of Europe lived in huts. They created art so breathtaking it still mesmerizes us today. They were untouchable, unstoppable, until they weren't. The Minoans ruled the Mediterranean for centuries, but then something happened. Their palaces burned, their cities fell silent, and a new power rose from their ashes, the Mycenaeans. But here's the twist. Did the Mycenaeans actually conquer the Minoans? Or is the truth far more complex and fascinating than a simple invasion? Today we're diving into one of ancient history's greatest mysteries, and trust me, the answer will surprise you. Imagine living in 1700 BCE on the island of Crete, the jewel of the Mediterranean. The Minoans weren't just surviving, they were thriving in ways that would make modern civilizations jealous. Their palace at Knossos sprawled across 6 acres, featuring advanced architecture, colorful frescoes depicting dolphins and bull leapers, and a sewage system that wouldn't be matched in Europe for thousands of years. These weren't primitive people scratching out an existence. They were sophisticated, wealthy, and seemingly invincible. But what made the Minoans truly special was their dominance of the seas. They controlled maritime trade routes across the entire Aegean, exchanging precious goods with Egypt, Cyprus, and the Greek mainland. Their ships carried olive oil, wine, and exquisite pottery to distant shores, bringing back wealth that fueled an unprecedented cultural flowering. No walls surrounded their cities because they believed their naval power was protection enough. They were the masters of their world, and they knew it. Now let's shift our gaze to mainland Greece, where a very different culture was emerging. The Mycenaeans were warriors first, and everything else second. While the Minoans painted peaceful scenes of nature and festivals, the Mycenaeans carved images of battle and hunting into their fortress walls. Their citadels, like the famous Lion Gate at Mycenae, were built with massive stones so large that later Greeks believed giants must have placed them there. These were people forged by a harsher environment and constant conflict. Unlike the island-dwelling Minoans who relied on the sea as their moat, the Mycenaeans built their settlements on hilltops surrounded by cyclopean walls thick enough to withstand any siege. They organized themselves into warrior kingdoms, each ruled by a Wainaxa king who commanded both political and military power. The Mycenaeans looked at Minoan wealth and sophistication with a mixture of admiration and ambition. Here's where the story gets fascinating. Before any conquest, there was contact, lots of it. Archaeological evidence shows that by 1600 BCE, Mycenaean and Minoan cultures were deeply intertwined. Mycenaean shaft graves from this period are filled with Minoan-style artifacts, gold cups, jewelry, and weapons decorated with distinctly Minoan motifs. The Mycenaeans weren't just trading with the Minoans. They were absorbing their culture like sponges. The Mycenaeans even adapted the Minoan writing system, transforming it into what we now call Linear B script. They imported Minoan artists and craftsmen to their mainland citadels, learning techniques in fresco painting, metalworking, and architecture. It was cultural diffusion on a massive scale, suggesting a relationship far more complex than simple enemies preparing for war. The Mycenaeans were students before they became rivals. Around 1628 BCE, the earth itself turned against the Minoans. The volcanic island of Thera, just 70 miles north of Crete, exploded in one of the most catastrophic eruptions in human history. The blast was 4 times more powerful than Krakatoa, sending tsunamis racing across the Mediterranean and blanketing the region in ash. Imagine waking up to earthquakes that wouldn't stop, then watching the sea recede impossibly far before returning as a wall of water 30 feet high. The immediate devastation was apocalyptic, but the long-term effects were even worse. Ash contaminated farmland, trade routes were disrupted, and coastal settlements lay in ruins. The Minoans rebuilt, showing remarkable resilience, but their civilization had been wounded in ways that wouldn't become apparent for decades. Their naval supremacy was challenged, their economy destabilized, and their aura of invincibility shattered. Nature had done what no human enemy could. It had weakened the seemingly unbeatable Minoans. The Mycenaeans watched these events unfold with keen interest. Suddenly, the dominant maritime power that controlled Mediterranean trade had vulnerabilities. Mycenaean merchants began filling the gaps in trade networks that the Minoans could no longer maintain. Their ships appeared in ports that had exclusively dealt with Minoan traders for generations. This wasn't invasion, it was opportunism, the ancient equivalent of a business takeover. Archaeological evidence from this period shows Mycenaean presence expanding throughout the Aegean. Pottery styles that originated on mainland Greece began appearing in greater quantities on islands that were firmly in the Minoan sphere of influence. The Mycenaeans weren't conquering through military might alone. They were gradually replacing Minoan dominance through economic competition and strategic positioning. The balance of power was shifting, and everyone in the Mediterranean could feel it. Then came 1450 BCE, and disaster struck again. Massive fires consumed Minoan palaces across Crete, from Knossos to Phaistos to Malea. Archaeological layers showed destruction so complete that some sites were never reoccupied. But here's what makes this moment so controversial among historians. Was this a Mycenaean invasion, an internal revolt, another natural disaster, or something else entirely? The evidence is maddeningly unclear. There are no arrow-riddled skeletons, no clear signs of battle, no victorious inscriptions from conquering Mycenaean warriors. What we do find is that after these fires, the administrative tablets at Knossos switch from linear A, the undeciphered Minoan script, to linear B, the Mycenaean writing system. It's like walking into an office building after a fire and finding all the English paperwork replaced with Greek. Something fundamental had changed, but the how and why remain hotly debated. Let's talk about the invasion theory first, because it's the most dramatic. Some historians argue the Mycenaeans launched a coordinated military campaign, landing forces on Crete and systematically destroying Minoan power centers. The warrior culture of the Mycenaeans certainly made them capable of such an endeavor, and they had both the motive and the opportunity. The Minoans, weakened by previous disasters and lacking defensive walls, would have been vulnerable to a determined assault. But other scholars point to a different scenario: gradual infiltration rather than sudden conquest. Maybe Mycenaean mercenaries or traders had been settling in Crete for generations, slowly gaining influence. When crisis struck, whether from earthquake, civil war, or economic collapse, these Mycenaean communities were positioned to seize power. Think of it less as an invasion and more as a power vacuum being filled by the people who were ready and able to fill it. Knossos, the greatest of all Minoan palaces, holds crucial clues. After 1450 BCE, the palace continued to function. but under new management. The Linear B tablets found there record a distinctly Mycenaean administrative system with Greek names and Greek gods. The palace's throne room was modified to include features common in Mycenaean citadels. Even the burial practices changed, with warrior graves appearing that looked nothing like traditional Minoan interments. Yet paradoxically, Minoan cultural elements persisted. The frescoes remained unchanged, Minoan religious symbols continued in use, and artistic styles showed continuity with the past. This suggests not a complete replacement of one culture by another, but rather a blending of Mycenaean ruling class adopting and adapting Minoan civilization rather than destroying it. The conquerors, if they were conquerors, became somewhat Minoanized themselves. With Crete under their control or influence, the Mycenaeans became the new masters of the Aegean. Their distinctive pottery spread to every corner of the Mediterranean, from Italy to Egypt. They established trading posts and colonies, built impressive palaces on the mainland, and created a network of powerful kingdoms that would eventually launch the legendary Trojan War, or at least the historical conflict that inspired Homer's epic. The Mycenaean civilization that emerged after absorbing Minoan culture was a hybrid combining mainland Greek warrior traditions with Minoan artistic sophistication and maritime expertise. They used Linear B to keep detailed records of their palace economies, tracking everything from chariot wheels to offerings for the gods. They built Megaran-style throne rooms, but decorated them with Minoan-style frescoes. They were something new, a synthesis of two great Bronze Age civilizations. But here's what's truly fascinating. The Minoans never really disappeared. Their influence permeated Mycenaean civilization so thoroughly that it's sometimes hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Mycenaean religion incorporated Minoan deities, their art echoed Minoan themes, and their architecture borrowed Minoan innovations. The pottery that Mycenaean traders carried across the Mediterranean often featured designs that originated in Minoan workshops. In many ways, the Minoans conquered their conquerors culturally, even as they lost political control. It's like how Roman conquerors of Greece became thoroughly Hellenized, spreading Greek culture throughout their empire. The Mycenaeans may have held the swords, but the Minoans held the cultural playbook. This pattern would repeat throughout history. Military conquerors adopting the sophisticated culture of those they defeated. So let's return to our central question. Did the Mycenaeans conquer the Minoans? The answer is yes, no, and it's complicated. There probably wasn't a single dramatic invasion where Mycenaean armies stormed Cretan beaches. Instead, we're looking at a complex, decades-long process involving natural disasters, economic competition, cultural exchange, and possibly military intervention during Minoan weakness. The most likely scenario is that the Thera eruption and subsequent earthquakes weakened Minoan civilization, creating opportunities for Mycenaean expansion. Through a combination of trade, migration, and possibly military action, Mycenaean Greeks gradually became the dominant power in Crete and the broader Aegean. The palace destructions around 1450 BCE marked the culmination of this process, whether through conquest, internal collapse, or natural disaster. What emerged was a Mycenaean-dominated world that owed an enormous debt to Minoan civilization. The Mycenaean-Minoan transition teaches us something profound about how civilizations rise and fall. It's rarely as simple as one army defeating another in a decisive battle. Instead, we see complex interactions between environmental catastrophes, economic shifts, cultural exchange, and political opportunism. The Minoans didn't fall because they were weak. They fell because multiple disasters struck at the worst possible time, and the Mycenaeans were positioned to take advantage. This pattern would repeat when the Mycenaeans themselves fell around 1200 BCE during the broader Bronze Age collapse. The mighty fortress cities were abandoned, the palace economies disintegrated, and Greece entered a dark age. But Mycenaean cultural elements survived, passed down through centuries to eventually influence classical Greek civilization. The cycle of rise, fall, and transformation continued, as it always does. History isn't a story of simple conquests. It's a complex web of cause and effect, where today's victors become tomorrow's memories. So there you have it. The story of how the Mycenaeans conquered the Minoans is really a story about how civilizations transform, adapt, and merge. It's about natural disasters creating opportunities, cultural exchange preceding political change, and the complicated dance between military power and cultural influence. The Minoans built one of the ancient world's most remarkable civilizations, and while it fell from dominance, its influence echoed through the Mycenaean world and ultimately shaped the Greece we know from history. What do you think? Was this a conquest, a cultural takeover, or something in between? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing your perspectives on these ancient mysteries. And if you enjoyed diving into Bronze Age history with me today, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating stories from the ancient world. Next week, we're exploring another civilization that mysteriously collapsed. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep questioning, keep learning, and remember, history is never as simple as we think. See you in the next one.